All right, folks, we got Bitcoin coming in at $27,350. Not too shabby for old Bitcoin today. And you're starting to see a little bit of altcoin action where altcoins are up a little bit. Um, I'd say like half the altcoins are up, the other half are down. Of course, Bitcoin's been the top contender, as usually happens in every bear market where Bitcoin will pump first. The narrative flows into Bitcoin. I talked about this video the other day, or this in the video, where it doesn't matter what. So right now we're hearing a lot about a banking crisis. Everybody's like, oh my God, the banks are collapsed. We have to get in Bitcoin. Back in 2020, it was something else. It's always something. It's some narrative that gets people to go back into Bitcoin and back into risk assets. This time it's a banking crisis. Now, this banking crisis is interesting. You're starting to see all sorts of crazy things. Everybody's talking about this. This former Coinbase guy, executive, says hyperinflation happening now makes $1 million bet on Bitcoin price exceeding $1 million in 90 days. Okay, so this guy's predicting Bitcoin will hit $1 million in 90 days. Anybody who believes that, you're probably like your IQ is below 5. That's never going to happen. Even if the US dollar collapsed, that wouldn't happen. And if the US dollar did collapse and that happened, you'd wish your Bitcoin wasn't worth $1 million because your entire world, as you know, would collapse. Bitcoin at $1 million in 90 days means there's no more America, there's no more financial system. You have looters going up and down the street, raping your wife and pillaging your house. That's what $1 million Bitcoin means in 30 days. Your entire financial system has collapsed. Your house is now worth nothing. Any money you had left in the bank is worth nothing. This is all crazy talk. This is kind of like Ripple XRP 398 or whatever they're talking about. But this narrative is good for Bitcoin because, yes, the banking system is not as reliable, and all those little cracks are starting to be shown. Of course, as we know, the government is going to bail out any bank that crashes because they have to. So I'm not too worried about big banks going under. But this narrative is spooking people, and it is starting that catalyst, which is getting people back into risk assets. This isn't just a Bitcoin thing, folks. Gold is also doing well. All the risk assets are doing well right now. That's kind of what happens. So this guy predicts Bitcoin $1 million in 90 days. Not going to happen, but what could we see in 90 days? Could we see Bitcoin at $30,000 in 90 days? Could we see Bitcoin at $50,000 in 90 days? Yeah, I think that's possible. I really do. Because if that narrative sticks, if you see other banks collapse and that they're pushing that, and they're pushing that on the news, and they're pushing that, your favorite YouTuber BitBoy is making thumbnails showing you a bank collapse and saying everybody's getting into Bitcoin, yeah, that could help Bitcoin. But the way I see it is, if there wasn't a banking problem right now, Bitcoin would have found another narrative that pushes it up to $27,000. There's always something. All you have to do is line up the charts from this bear market to the last bear market, going into the next bull market. Everything lines up perfectly. Bitcoin would have found another reason to be pumping. If not this month, it'd be next month. It'd be something. The Fed would pivot. The Fed pivoting, if none of these banking situations were happening, that would cause Bitcoin to go up. If the Fed decided not to raise interest rates, that would cause Bitcoin. So there's always going to be something. So I'm not a big believer in that everything is completely news-driven with Bitcoin. I'm really just more of a believer in the 4-year cycles. But news can start that catalyst, and that's what we're seeing right now. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, I think Bitcoin could easily go up to $30,000. It's going to find a level somewhere, and then you're going to see a lot of these altcoins rip. You're already seeing some altcoins, like look at BNB up to 340. XRP is back up to 40 cents. You're starting to see money getting put back into these altcoins. I know it's slow. Slow and steady wins the race. It's always Bitcoin first. But you are starting to see money go back into some of these altcoins, so definitely be paying attention. This is a week to be paying attention 100%, especially with this Bitcoin to $1 million in 90 days talk. I mean, a lot of people are going to be talking about this, and this is going to get a lot of dumb retail money to maybe start buying some more Bitcoin. All right. Found this article. The only tokens to buy below $2 for 2023 are Cardano, Polygon, and Reno Refinance. I agree with that. I'm not a big fan of Polygon just because, and the weird thing is with Polygon, there's two reasons why I said I wasn't a big fan of Polygon. For one, I think it pumped too much. But Polygon did have a retrace down to, I believe, $1. Now it's back up to like 120. And I heard one of the co-founders on Crypto Banter talking, and the guy came off as a used car salesman. So, with that said, do I think Cardano and or Polygon will do well in the next bull market? I do. And I think going down to $1 a week ago or wherever it was a good buy-in point. So I could definitely see Cardano and Matic being definitely two of the top contenders. You know, Cardano right now has just been doing what it did last bear market. Just last bear market, Cardano hung out between 4 and 8 cents for a year. It just hung out there. Everybody said it was over. I even took money out of Cardano and put it into Bitcoin. I started chasing Bitcoin. Well, that cost me probably like 20 grand by doing that. So I didn't take all, of course I didn't take all my money out of Cardano. I took like a small percentage out. And I learned my lesson on that one. So remember, slow and steady wins the race. Cardano will pump, and it will pump hard, but you have to wait for that altcoin run to start. As far as Ren Finance or Reno, I don't know a lot about that. I've heard people talk about it. You can do your own research on that one. I just don't know enough about it to even really comment on it. Back to the banking, mid-sized U.S. banks reportedly asked the FDIC to insure all deposits for 2 years. And that's all deposits, that's not just up to 250. So what I believe you're going to see happen in the next couple of weeks with banks, I think the government's going to have to come out and say, oh my God, people are starting to see the cracks in these banks. They're losing confidence. And I think the FDIC and the Fed's going to come out and say, you know what? If you deposit $1 million, it's insured. Whatever you do at the bank is completely insured. Don't worry about it. And I think once they do that, a lot of these banks their stocks are going to shoot right back up again. Because remember, if the U.S. government lets any of these banks collapse, that means there's no more U.S. The U.S. is over. You see the looters in the street. Everything collapses. 99% of people are using the banking system. They're not using crypto. Like I said this earlier, like, okay, you want to be the one guy that's holding Bitcoin when Bitcoin goes to $1 million and everything else collapses. Well, if everything else collapses, there is nothing to buy with your Bitcoin. There's no more world. There's no more country. There's no car. There's no Lambo to buy. You just see fire in the streets. So we don't want that. We don't want the U.S. banking system to collapse. This is the real world, folks. This isn't some fantasy land. All right. Peter Schiff blames too much regulation for worsening financial crisis. Kind of funny to see that from him, because with Bitcoin and crypto, he said the whole reason that they're collapsing is there's no regulation. So with this guy, he's going to say whatever he can say to get a news bite. But right now he's saying, okay, you know, the government is just making too much regulation. But I would think the government, as far as the banks, there's not enough regulation. They're letting these banks invest in whatever they want. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice a little bit. And whatever they want. So this guy, Peter Schiff, he's pretty much proven to just say, he's a chameleon. He'll say whatever he wants. But I do agree with him that gold, look, if Bitcoin does well, gold's going to do well. You're not going to see the ROI in gold as you will with Bitcoin. But if you're buying gold right now, I mean, let's face it, you're going to do just fine. But gold's up, you know, plenty over the last week. But this guy, Peter Schiff, he really is kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing. When the government imposed lots of new banking regulations after the 2008 financial collapse, we were assured that what is happening right now would never happen again. But one reason we had the 2008 financial crisis was too much government regulations. Well, another reason we had the 2008 financial crisis was there was no regulation. The whole housing market collapsed. People making minimum wage were getting $500,000 loans with 500 credit in these adjustable rate mortgages. They were giving these people making minimum wage, oh, you can buy this $500,000 house. Your payments are $500 a month. But in 2 years, they go up to $10,000 a month. There was no regulation to stop any of that. So, Peter Schiff, you are wrong. Lack of regulation is what caused 2008. I saw it in the housing market. My wife and I were in and out of houses at that time. We talked to realtors. I knew a bunch of friends are realtors, and it was all started by just no regulations in the loan business. And I actually see right now possibly the next crash. A lot of people are talking about housing crash. I don't think so. I think the car market's going to crash. You have a lot of idiots right now making 10, 15, 20 bucks an hour. They don't know what to do with any of their money, and they're buying F-150s for $80,000, and they're getting $1,500 a month car loans on it. That is going to collapse at some point. They might be able to make those loans for a year or two, but eventually they're going to get sick of that vehicle, and they're going to stop making those loans, or they're going to lose their job, or realize they're spending way too much money on their car loan, and I think you're going to see a lot of these car loans imploding. So, I don't know. For me, like I've never had a car loan over $250. Like I'd always put half down and like just finance the rest, and then I'd pay that off like a couple years. But I'm seeing all sorts of people getting like $800 a month car loans, $1,000 a month car loans. It's unsustainable. The next crash in this country is car loans. Mark this post or mark this video. All right, folks, that's pretty much it. Oh, one more about Data Dash. You know, I've been making fun of Data Dash. He's been bearish ever since 15,000. We're almost at $27,000 Bitcoin, and he's still at it. The next domino to collapse that's bigger than SVP. Bitcoin flash rally. Has Bitcoin kicked off the next bull run? If you watch the video, he's telling you it's still all going to crash. So remember, folks, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to go to $40,000 next week or 20. I don't know, but when you put all your eggs in one basket, you end up looking like Data Dash. Not too good, not too good. All right, folks, everything's looking good in crypto. We can't complain. $27,000 Bitcoin. It don't get much better than that. You will see an altcoin run. You just have to give it time. Look at the charts if you don't believe me. Look at Bitcoin in 2020 pumping as the altcoins did nothing. Look at that 4 years earlier, 2017, 2016, Bitcoin pumping. The altcoins did nothing, and then they start to follow. So don't get discouraged with alts. Now's the time to buy alts. I picked up a shit ton of Litecoin yesterday, just for transparency, and I am looking to buy even more. I'm actually thinking about making another Cardano buy, maybe even today, because I think Cardano, if Bitcoin continues, I think Cardano is going to be at 50, 60, 70 cents in April. All right, folks, like and subscribe. I will talk to you later.